when they talk about free trade, it kind of piqued my interest. There's a lot of companies right now that are shipped off overseas. A lot of the jobs moved overseas. But a lot of these companies are manufacturing and still taking the same profit by re-importing back into the U.S. That said, these same companies are not declaring profit, and it's actually an overseas company. So in essence, we're dodging the tax loophole of having an offshore business and not having to pay the taxes. Are you in favor of closing that loophole?
What loophole are we talking? I'm a CPA, and that's what I'm trying to figure. I'm trying to follow
A
this.
specific loophole where companies can move overseas, and they do. Manufacture overseas, take the jobs overseas, manufacture and reship back to the U.S. Now, in that process, they can avoid the tax on profit. You know that, right? Okay. Would you be in favor of closing that loophole?
I would be in favor of incentivizing manufacturers to employ people in the United States.
Yeah, but what about that loophole?
Well, I think we need to look at that loophole. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
You know what, on a personal standpoint, every politician, no matter whether you're Democrat, Independent, or anything like that, your favorite line is, we need to look at that. Now, that doesn't make me feel good to vote for you if you're not committed already. I mean, you're not making a stand. You know, there were several questions that were directed to you, and you had a tendency, I don't care whether it would be you or Cherry or anybody else, you're not making a commitment when you're up there. Now, this gentleman here in the blue, it bothers me that he brought up the fact of the Muslim mosque. Now, to me, I consider that man a racist.
You're the racist.
No, I mean,
yes.
I would. I mean,
that's my view. Right from my
perception.
heart, you're the racist.
You know.
Yeah.
Watch the words you're throwing around, mister.
But see, but then when he asked you that question of whether you think it was right for the Muslims to erect a mosque near Ground Zero, why was it that you did not make a commitment saying that you don't believe they should or shouldn't?
Well, what I said was that's a local issue. And I think that's one of the things sometimes we got to get federal government. And what I said, less government, less taxes. We need to get the federal government out of our business. That's a local issue. So, you know, I'm going to represent the federal government. Being asked how would you feel about that as a representative of the federal government. And I said, I think that's a local issue. Now, if I was on city council in New York, you asked me that question, I'll answer it as a local city council representative or a zoning representative. Because I really believe in that. Or if it was happening in Wadsworth when I was mayor, I'd answer it as a how to fix it. But I don't think you can take federal government, which I believe needs to stay away from that. Those are local zoning and local laws.
I see.
With your experience and your interest in saving jobs and creating jobs, how would you go about doing this?
Absolutely, it's a good question. Here's what I tell everybody. I'm a business owner right now. I wouldn't hire another person today. And why is that? Predictability and certainty. I have no idea what my costs are going to be. I have no idea what my healthcare costs are going to be. I have no idea what my utility bills are going to be with cap and trade if it passes. So you take healthcare, your taxes, you know, they're talking about letting the 2001, 2003 tax cuts expire. Start to look at all those. Interest costs. You need certainty and predictability. As a business owner, I want to at least have some predictability of what I'm going to do. So how do we fix that? Well, it's a simple answer. Let's get government away. Let's allow certainty and predictability to occur. Let's not keep making laws and making changes that keep muddying up certainty and predictability. Government can't create a job. Government doesn't create a job. Small business creates jobs. Business owners create jobs. We need to give them the opportunity to do that. We're not doing that today. The Pelosi policies that John Bucherri follows are not allowing that to happen. And we need to stop those policies.
Last time we had a Democrat president with a Democrat-controlled Congress, we got the 1994 Clinton assault weapons ban. My question is, if a similar ban came to the floor while you were a congressman, how would you vote on it? And how do you feel about gun rights issues in general, and are you a gun owner?
I am a big believer in the Second Amendment. I am a gun owner. I've been a gun owner for 25 years. Hunter, back in the days. I don't have time right now, but so I am a big supporter of the Second Amendment and gun ownership. And I wish I had more time to go on.
Jim, I got a question for you. Do you need the job?
Yeah. It's an interesting question. I grew up in a very poor family. You heard it was Democratic. My dad lost his job when I was 8 years old. We didn't have a lot. We sat around the kitchen table, tried to figure out how we were going to make ends meet. First one to go to college, started my own company, lived the American dream. I'm proud of that. I'm very proud of that because I started with a couple $100 and I was able to build a business, sell it, and live the American dream. Everybody should have that opportunity. When I run for this position, what I'm telling you is we need to quit sending people to Washington that need the job and need a career. What you get with me is someone who can represent you, who doesn't need the job and isn't looking for the career. And I don't care whether it's a Republican or Democrat. When you send somebody down there that needs the job and is looking for the career, you're going to get what you get in Mr. Bucherri, which is a guy who's going to do whatever he can to keep that job. And that's why we have somebody who's told people he would vote against cap and trade and then voted for it. Told people he voted against health care and then voted for it. There's reasons why somebody goes to Washington and does that. And clearly, that's one of the reasons, that's one of the things you won't have to deal with me.
I have read that you were against the bailouts of the auto workers, the auto plants, and you were against the TARP funds. Now, if that's true, and you're against the stimulus funds, did you not also take cash for clunkers in your car business?
Great question. Yes, you know what? That's always one of the things people ask because it's one of the attacks on a business owner who had a car dealership. Let me explain what happens in cash for clunkers. Person comes in, wants to buy a car. All right, you negotiate a deal, and then you take $4,500, which is what some of them are. You got $4,500. First off, it's your customer. You have a customer base. So do you tell them, I'm not going to service you? So everybody in the car business ended up taking cash for clunker dollars to sell a car to their customer. Because if you're in the car business or you're in any business, you got to take care of your customer. So if a customer came in and they said, Jim, been a customer for years, I'd like to buy this car, I've got a cash for clunker. The answer is, we're going to do what we can. So yes, you take that. But you know what people forgot? That $4,500 doesn't mean you made $4,500. I got to tell you, you know what's interesting about the car dealer? I know we've got a car dealer here, and I was a car dealer until the government, General Motors, decided that my business couldn't continue. But I will say this, when you sell a car, you're lucky, especially a new car, the profit margins are pretty slim. And I'd love to show you what the profit margins were on the cars that I sold in cash for clunker deals. Because you didn't make $4,500. You would sell a car for $20,000 or $21,000. It may cost you $20,500 in some cases, maybe even more. I got to tell you, we took losses on some of those cash for clunker cars. but you took the 45, but you know what else you had to do? You had to wait 90 days for that $4,500. And in some cases, 120 days. So now you got no cash. So now you gotta go out and borrow money, right? You gotta go out and borrow money. You gotta pay interest on it while you're waiting for those dollars. Then you gotta fill out a ton of paperwork, by the way. And every time you turn in more paperwork, they ask for more. And then finally, you get your money. So in the long run, do I believe Cash for Clunkers was a good deal? Absolutely not. I believe it was one of the worst things that could happen, because what it did was it energized people to get rid of cars that in many cases weren't clunkers, that in many cases could have been used by the farmer, that are now gone, because you were required to destroy that car when you were done. So that car came off the market once it was destroyed. So the farmer couldn't get it for a less price. The person going to college couldn't get it for a less price. What else happened? Supply and demand.
So the farmers should take the old cars and not worry about new cars? I don't know what you're saying about farmers.
Well, a lot of times the farmers would take old, what we would call clunkers, and use those in the farms. And that's what I'm saying. I had many farmers come to me and say, all the clunker cars are gone that we used to use on the farm. And that's the problem. So in the long run, you know, when somebody says, well, didn't you take money in that program? Yeah, because I wanted to provide for my customers. Did I make dollars off of that? No. And in the long run, was I able to sell more cars because of it? No, because the market, all we did was pull forward, sold cars, and then the market plummeted again for a couple months after that.